welcome one and all. We will. All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, but Norwegian man, I say yeah, move.
All right, welcome again, everyone. As I said before, welcome to Halftime Ball Talk. We do this every Monday, where we interview your favorite local footballers. Well, not so local anymore, because obviously Damion has conquered the world for the most part. And we give you guys the opportunity to interact with them, because oftentimes we see them, but it's on television or when they're representing the national colors or the national team. So this platform is to give you, the fans, an opportunity to know your representatives a little bit better, and to find out the human element of it. All right. So for those on here who aren't aware, today's guest is vice captain of the national team, well established and decorated national footballer, Damion Lowe. All right. So, what's the weather like in Egypt, Damion? How's everything?
Things has been good so far. The weather, to be honest, has got much better. Sometimes it's a bit bipolar because we're up north, so it gets a bit chilly. Like, not like Norway, but close enough. But past couple of weeks has been really good. You know, a lot of sunshine. It's not that hot. You know, a little bit of wind. I'm closer to the sea, so you know that does a lot for us. But yeah, it's been good. I'm enjoying it. Weather fantastic, and you know.
All right, that's great to hear. The weather here in Canada is a lot better as well. You know, we get 8 months of winter for the most part. So, we're having a little bit of sunshine, so I'm grateful for that as well. But let's get straight to it. Tell us a little bit about Damion. What we don't see on Wikipedia. Who is Damion Lowe?
Well, Damion Lowe from East Kingston, Jamaica, Rockfort. Small community called Shantytown, you know, hilly terrain. Obviously, you know, not much to talk about. I mean, everything is basically on the internet, but you know, oldest of 10 siblings, father of 2. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think everything. Body else, you say what's not on Wikipedia. Most things are.
All right, no worries, no worries there. Tell us what it was like growing up, though. Your father was a former player of the Reggae Boyz. We see professional footballers out with their sons or their daughters most times when they're at games or that sort of stuff. You mentioned just now that you're the oldest of 10, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, tell us what that was like, being the son of the great Damion Lowe. What was it like growing up for the most part?
It was good. I mean, you know, from a humble upbringing, you know, learned a lot, seen a lot, the good and the bad, you know, but my household kept me stable and focused and not to stray and, you know, go the wrong route, as parents always say, or Jamaicans on a whole. But my experiences as, you know, the son of a superstar at the time, you know, it was good, you know. Came under a lot of pressure, you know, with a lot of controversy and stuff. But when the good days are good, it's really good. You know, met a lot of people, a lot of celebrities, and I enjoyed every moment of it. Yeah. And it also brought me to where I'm at right now, pertaining to, you know, what I've endured, you know, growing up, what people used to say, you know, what I hear, what I remember, you know, taught me a lot, and I'm grateful for my experiences growing up as, you know, as you could say, a professional, world-known player at the time.
All right. Did you at any point feel as if you had to work twice as hard or in contrast, less because of the name that your father had already built for himself?
Um, yeah, I feel like because yeah, my father was known, so obviously that opened doors for me. But again, it also was a bit harder, especially when I have to deal with people who's really close to him or familiar with him because they wanted me to earn my stripe. And for myself also, felt like I always had to be proving myself, prove and show that listen, not because my father is an Andy Lowe that it's gonna be easy for me. I can just step in and play in a game or tell the coach, oh, pick me because of this, or okay, give me this opportunity. The opportunities might be wider, the resources might be more accessible to me, but once I have grasp of that, to get the job done, it's up to me. It's not because of my name. I can't go there and play against a Chicharito or a Dos Santos or a Jordan Morris or somebody from CONCACAF and say, oh,
And Andy Lowe, my father.
let me pass, let me tackle you, or let me win the game. You understand? Yeah.
Yeah, I fully understand. Schoolboy football. Your name wasn't mentioned as much. You would fall into the same batch as myself and Brian Brown and a few other players, but we didn't hear much about you during or time playing schoolboy football.
Yeah.
Was there a particular part?
I'm really happy about that, to be honest.
But was there any reason behind that? You went to Camperdown, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like, people knew that my dad had a son old enough, but they really didn't know. But at the same time, my name just wasn't. I was always doing well, I was always doing well at the club level, at the high school level, playing well. But my name just wasn't out there, I felt like I benefited from that a lot. I kind of just rolled under the radar, and then when my time to shine, just overpower, everybody. It kind of pushed me and drive me even much more because then I'm like, I'm doing well, but my name, I'm not getting called up to the youth national teams. I'm not, even if I get invited to the camps, I wouldn't even make the final roster, or some injuries might happen and then I don't get selected. Scouts will come to Jamaica to scout like 200 players, and I wouldn't even be invited to get even a scholarship, so that all of that happening, just kind of start the fire inside of me, and it kind of show who I am today. That listen, nothing is given, everything is earned. Just go prove yourself, show who you are, be the best, no matter what. Even if a bucket stopper or jacks or something, be the best every time.
All right, yeah. I fully agree with you in that regard. You mentioned playing at the club level. You played at Harborview from the under 12 straight up until what, under 21?
Yeah.
But you didn't really play in the local Premier League, to say the least. What's your impression of the RSPL from the outside looking in?
It's a good platform, growing up, watching the RSPL, like RSPL. It was very competitive at the time, like, not saying it's not competitive now, but it just, like, everybody looked forward to Sunday night, or Sunday evening ball game. At that time we did have the Hazard before the Portmore United, and then come over into Portmore United, but then you have, like, the Autos, Hazard, Arnett, Harborview, Tivoli was, like, the top team, rivalry. It was good, and now, I can say, like, not a lot of high school players back then when I was in Jamaica playing didn't really get to transition into the Premier League. It was very hard to get into a Premier League team straight out of Manning Cup. You have to be like a top notch player.
Well, good. Yeah, true.
And in the latter half now, just before like maybe a year or two before I left Jamaica, players now started to transition and getting opportunities to play, in a Premier League team. Harborview started, then you started Portmore United, then Tivoli was doing a good job of it. Lion did a good job of that also. And team from Clarendon, Sporting Central, started doing that too. And you know, I feel like everybody just starts to listen. If we have the players, they're good, they're getting, they're doing well at their schoolboy level. Why not give them the chance to play? You know, but yeah, it's a good platform. It's growing now. I see that, you know, there's a new structure, new sponsors. The country need that. Football in the country need that, and I feel like, you know, it's just only up from here. You know, corporate is really stepping in to help out the development of football and growing it to a next level. And I'm here to see where it goes.
All right. I'm here to see as well, and I'm hoping for the best because, as you mentioned, it is a very, very good platform for especially those who aren't afforded the luxury of a lot of opportunities to go overseas and that sort of thing. So, for those on here, you still can play in the RSPL and do well and represent the country, as you've seen a number of talents prior to yourself done. All right. So if you're in the comment section, I hope you take note of that. All right. Moving on. You were drafted with the likes of Andre Blake and Eddie Lewis. No, you were drafted 8th. Looking at the names I've seen here, these individuals have gone on to make luxurious careers in the MLS. What do you think was the major hindrance behind your inability to cement yourself as a mainstay in the MLS, like your two colleagues?
When I when I got drafted, again, under the radar, out of a small university, who would have thought, you know, number 8 overall, you know, I went into the best team in America, you know, at the time. World-class players that have played in 4 World Cups, 3 World Cups, players that have played in Champions League, playing the English Premier League, you know, going up against, as a 19-year-old, going up against 3 times Defender of the Year, you know, like, with my inexperience, it was always going to be difficult, you know. And then injury, you know, at my high, as a rookie, I got injured, you know, a season-ending injury, almost career-ending injury. The doctor fixed me up, patched me up really good, and it took me time to really, I needed minutes, I needed game time. And when you're in an organization as big as Seattle, you know, trophy, winning a championship is it has to happen, you know.
Yeah, you're not afforded as much time.
Yeah. So I have to be on, you know, all P's and Q's right away. And so, you know, I got sent away on loan, you know, did well, came back, won a championship. But just the playing time, I was always maybe one step behind because of that whole year that I missed due to injury. You know, then, you know, we just decided, listen, we're going to part ways and move on. And felt like that kind of helped my career to just take off because I was able to get first team minutes more and stuff. But another thing I think is just that, you know, it's not like I wasn't offered options to come back into the MLS. You know, I was maybe 2 or 3 times close to re-signing with Seattle, also joining Inter Miami and other teams that I've had talks with before. You know, maybe the offer just wasn't, you know, what I was looking for at the time, you know, decision. Yeah, but I felt like if I had taken up those offers or, you know, decided to rejoin, I would have been a mainstay in the MLS up till today.
All right. You spoke about different offers and the times you went on loan. Tell us about you decided to go to Norway and being a journeyman that you were, because I read you've been to a number of clubs in the US, and then you decided to take the bold move to go to Norway. Now, this was out of the blue for most persons because we were expecting probably something in the MLS or maybe in England in the Championship or even in the English Premier League, because you had the quality. So it wasn't a question of was he talented enough to play, but it was okay. When was the next big move? You went to Norway. Tell us a bit about your time in the Nordic region.
To be honest, like, before I even went to Norway, I had an offer from Sogndal. It's like a smaller club in Norway. In 2000, like my second year after I recovered from injury, but that just fell through last minute. Like, I had all my things packed, everything. It fell through due to back and forth with MLS and, you know, me being a Generation Adidas player and the offer that they got. So when I went over to Norway, you know, my dream was always to play in Europe, because I feel like once I get into Europe, especially in Scandinavia, that's like basically the hunting, you know, region for the bigger clubs in Europe. You know, they look in Scandinavia, especially Norway, for top talents to recruit them. You know, so I said, listen, once I get into Scandinavia and have 1 or 2 good seasons, you know, I feel like I can make the next jump into the Premier League, into Spain, into Italy, you know. And my experience there was really good. Of course, in everything, roller coaster sometimes, you know. Got promoted twice, got relegated once, you know, but I feel like my game changed so much. You know, my level just raised 10 times, you know. Even like what I knew I could be good at or better at, it got even much better, you know, being in Europe, because of, you know, how the total football, you know, they're just precise with everything, your preparation, your technique, you know, the quality of play that they want, you know, tactics. And I'm grateful, you know, that I was able to experience that.
All right. You spoke about Europe being the hunting ground and the level being raised and all of that. Now, when you were leaving Norway, there was high anticipation as to where you were going next. Now,
Yeah.
there were rumors about Italy. Myself, very, very excited about what the news would be. I was on your live countless number of nights watching to hear what was next. And then you decide, because when, for those on here who aren't aware, the Norwegian league is the 27th best league in the world. All right, so that's where it's ranked among all the top leagues across the globe. All right. No, you ultimately made the decision to go to Alexandria, in Egypt. How did you arrive at that decision?
So, you know, like when the pandemic, even before the pandemic hit, like I got multiple offers. I got people, I had teams flying in, coming to watch my games from England. I had talks with teams, I had people, you know, inquiring, like big clubs from Russia, you know, clubs that play Champions League from Russia, clubs that play, you know, that can challenge for you know, for spots, mid-table teams, you know, in England, you know, championship teams. But all of that is just, you know, negotiations goes and like back and forth, and just unfortunate. I feel like the pandemic kind of just hindered all of that. And I'm kind of everything, you know. I'm not gonna question God's work, but you know, it kind of sad, you know, when all of this happened, you know, the pandemic, because it kind of rerouted me a little bit, you know, with my goals and what I want, you know, to achieve. But the pandemic, you know, after I ended contract with Start in Norway, I was home for 6 months. You know, I live in you know that go, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you have a lot of expenses and stuff like that, and you know, when you have a savings, any account at all, and you see it's going down, but nothing is coming in.
Nothing going in. Yeah, so
So then you're like,
you start to reassess things.
you know, we have a livelihood, you know, to maintain, and you know, we have family to take care of, and you know, get ready enough for family. You know, you have to make decisions that sometimes you have to compromise, and you know. So I ended up. I mean, at first I didn't only get an offer from, you know, Nigeria. I got an offer from Qatar also. Got one offer, yeah. But they sent over 2 offers. That's how badly, you know, they were interested. And then I decided to go to Phoenix for the 2 months just to get back fitness and stuff and be able to play in the national team. And then I said, okay, listen, the better offer is from, you know, Al Ittihad, so I'll just go to Egypt instead.
All right, fair enough. The Western media in particular, it portrays Egypt as pyramids and deserts and all of that. From the outside, it's not a very enticing place to be for the ignorant mind. All right. So unless you're well traveled or you do a little bit of research, you can be swayed. All right. So for those on here who don't know, Egypt isn't all desert and pyramids. All right. Different cultures, different ideas. What would you say is the most difficult slash fun part of playing and living in Egypt?
So when I just arrived, like it's just a culture shock. It just hit me, boom. Like I've been to many countries. I think close to 40 countries, and it just when I came, I'm like, yo, listen, this is not what I was expecting because when I was in Norway, most people talk English. It's more of the Western type of life.
And trying
Oh,
to adjust to the Western as well.
so it just hit me. But after a while, I got to understand how things work, how to communicate, how they communicate when they try to talk to you, what they mean, because sometimes things get lost in translation, especially when you're speaking to a translator. Having good relationship with your teammates, the culture, it's very humbling, if you stand on the outside looking in, very humbling. Yeah, and then after a couple of weeks, and months, I'm still not there yet, but, I'm 90% settled and familiar. But the fun part, I mean, growing up, you hear about Egypt, you read about it in the Bible, you read about Israel in the Bible, and coming here and seeing all of that, seeing the pyramids, the Nile River, the Mediterranean, the Red Sea, is just, you're in awe, like, whoa, I'm really here, I'm glad that I'm able, not many people can say, oh, I've been to Egypt or been to the pyramids or, ride a camel to the desert, stuff like that. A great experience.
All right, all right. I know it is. I've known a bunch of folks who've been to Egypt, and they've all shared only good things. So that's why I'm excited to visit sometime soon, as when this pandemic ends, because it has basically put a leash on me somewhat. Moving on to my next question. What are your ultimate aspirations in club football, and can we expect another big move before you hang up your boots? Because you mentioned that this kind of it
I'm young.
well, in football 28 29 is your peak there about exactly. So probably another big move, and then you can probably call it a day there, no?
That's what maybe you're saying. I don't put any limit on my career, For me, once the body says yes, keep going,
Yeah.
But obviously, once you tick off everything on your goals and aspirations, this also is it. You can say, all right, yeah. But as a back, yeah, 28 young. We have Ramos playing at 30 something, 35, 36,
Yeah.
When you're playing centre back, it's more experience.
Yeah. Being smart.
Rather than running around the place, isn't me? But for me, yeah, I think one is in the pipeline. Working on it.
You don't have to go into any details with it. I'll take that. I'll keep logging on again, because as I said, I've been tracking the moves.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for the next big move again, because this one was
just
to
get back into things. There wasn't much options at the time, and it was for me the most enticing one. Also, like I changed management. I'm with Coda. Also, I hired Daniel Lee as my brand manager. So there's a lot in the pipeline pertaining to that. Closing deals, having discussions with other people. So now I'm with a London-based agency and stuff. So
fingers crossed.
We'll see. Yeah.
All right. We'll move into the next part of our interview, where we'll speak a bit about your international experience. Before I even go into it, are you related to Jamal Lowe?
Not that I know of, but maybe. I mean, the Low is not a
Common
common,
last name.
so highly likely, and maybe some far cousin or something. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we are.
All right, that'll be good to have cousins representing the national team. D-Lo is a brand, as we've come to understand. Recently, several athletes have expressed interest in the music business. They've dipped their toes. Tell us a bit about your venture, your extracurricular activities outside of football.
To not just kind of just focusing on myself and not really in the music as much. As I said, I changed manage have a team now that is we're just focusing on just marketing myself and attracting corporate and other sponsors, major brands, to work with. And basically right now, to be honest, every day I'm on the phone with my team just talking about what we want to do, what we want, stuff, investments, brands that we want to work with, stuff like that. It's there's not much. Everything is just mostly business. Like for me, every day right now, just trying to, of course, solidify, secure my future, maximize my earning potential, and also, my brand, just make it bigger, make it more attractive, So yeah.
All right, all right. You alluded to corporate in your statement just now. How did the deal with Digicel come about, and what exactly does a brand ambassador do?
Like it's not like when found out about Digicel, of course, I signed and met Tanya, and we decided like, hey, listen, this is what at first she asked me like, what am I interested in, and stuff like that, and then she listened to me, obviously, as with her expertise, and then she said, okay, I feel like you'll fit this brand, with your leadership qualities, your style, what your beliefs, how you impact the youth, your upbringing, your achievements in football. I feel like Digicel could be a brand, a powerhouse that your name would look good being attached to, So we approached them, we sent them over a proposal. They liked what they saw, presented to them, and then the rest is history, basically.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. Speaking of ambassadors, you're also an ambassador for your teammates. Is everything good now with the players and the JFF?
Yeah, I should assume so. Yeah, everything is good. I mean, we're playing now, so all well so far. There's always room for improvement, obviously. So we're just gonna take it one day at a time. The JFF knows, what we want to achieve. They have their goals also, but once we put all the variables together, we work together, as one nation, we should be fine.
All right, all right. That's really good to hear. I wrote an article about it in January when the entire ordeal came about, and I was taken aback, especially how you expressed yourself, how you handled the situation, and it piqued my interest into wanting to conduct this interview. So this interview has been in the pipeline for roughly 4 or 5 months. That's how long I've been, okay, I need to speak with this young man because when you get the time, hopefully you read the article, but you'll see where I'm coming from. And in that breath, what does leadership mean to you? We've heard you on the call. We've seen how you handle yourself. Explain the reasoning behind that, because leadership isn't something that is taught, right? It's basically innate. So you just discover that and you build on it. So let us know what is leadership to you.
I mean, to be honest, everything comes natural to me. I've seen how impactful I can be on others, and the people around me, close friends, people that I've grown up with, my success affects the people around them. What my brand, how I carry myself, how I live my life affects the people around me. And when it comes to like group stuff like that, I'm seen as, you know, the vice captain, one of the leaders in the team. Even though, you know, I'm one of, you know, maybe most of the same age group, because, you know, now this crop of players now is, the average age is maybe like 25, 20. Yeah, so, but, yeah, like you have some of the guys are older than me, have more caps than me, but they're still nominated. Just this, it wasn't even a nomination. It was just like, all right, no, you know, you fit the criteria. So once I something need to get done, I'm going to get it done because it benefits all, you know. And obviously, you have to talk with the team to listen. This is what's going to happen. What do you guys think? And if they say, yeah, pull the trigger, I pull the trigger. And, you know, whatever decision needs to be made, again, you know, we make it. But to lead, like, you don't really need a captain armband. You don't really need to lead from the front. You don't need to be the person up front and personal. You know, you can also be giving advice behind the scenes. You know, it's like a ghostwriter, basically, you can be, you know. But, yeah, for me, it's just natural, you know. I just try to get the best out of the people around me, try to affect them positively, try to live my life a certain way that they can mirror, not even say be me, but just mirror, like, okay, yeah, he's doing this, him achieve this, we come from the same environment, we come from the same community, we've been through the same situation, I can do it too, you know. And that just pushes me just wanting to be more successful also.
All right. Very, very well put. But I'm gonna backtrack a bit because obviously you didn't get here overnight. You've been with the national team for quite some time now. But when you first went into that dressing room, there was the likes of Mariappa and Wes Morgan. These are colossal figures. What was that experience like for you as a youngster going into the national setup?
I mean, to be honest, when I started playing for Jamaica, there was no national team. Everything was in shambles. Federation crashed. You know, federation crashed. Before that, there was the World Cup qualifiers and the Gold Cup. There were the likes of Morgan, Mariappa. Look up to them. You know, want to play at the highest level like them. You know, wanting to play for the national team, learning from them, seeing them playing. I always, you know, my father plays, and I said, listen, I want to play for Jamaica. You know, I have the qualities too. But after that, the federation crashed, you know. So when I came in, it was just starting from scratch again up, and I was one of the players that helped to.
In the rebuild process.
Where, you know, yeah, the likes of me, Blakey, you know, mash up right off, no fixing back, you know, play for free basically, you know.
All right. Fully understood.
Yeah.
And you've come a far way since. You've come a far way since. Andre Blake, welcome. The entire unit that has been put together, you've come a far way since. Now Andre Blake, as he joined, he did an interview with Sportsmax earlier in the year, and he asked a question, and I quote, "Why no?" When like this was about English players and their peaked interest in the national team or the local product. What are your views on that?
I feel like he's being misread or misunderstood.
He's been misquoted in some regard.
Yes.
So
yeah, two reasons.
Yeah.
Because if you weren't following the team from like the back end of 2016 or when the new cycle started, when, as we said, the federation crashed, no federation, no football, right? Everything stopped. We started with nothing. Of course, with every new era, sometimes you have to start from scratch. With every OCI, build the foundation of it. You have to start from somewhere, you know? But I feel like he was just saying there was, like, before that, players were invited. They weren't interested to come and play for free. They weren't interested to come and play and start over. You understand? So I feel like that was one of the reasons Why? And we came and we started from scratch and built it to here. No, you know. But I feel like the second thing was like, in the moment, you know, like when people are saying, "Oh, him saying no one about it." Of course, players are welcome. You know, players are always welcome. Once you're fit to play and you're going to help to get the team to a higher level, of course you're welcome. You know, so I don't want people to feel like, say, you know, that's our captain. You know, and he's very respectable, and all the players look up to him. And you know, I don't want people to feel like, you know, to look at him in a bad way at all. Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you clarified that. Andre, looking forward to speaking to you again soon. We did an interview in December. Hopefully we can replicate that in the coming weeks ahead. Now, some countries, they are football factories, meaning they produce crops of players time and time again that can go out there and compete for major honors. Sometimes it comes around once in a generation. Is it too presumptuous to call this batch of players now Jamaica's golden generation?
I feel like you can say that, you know, because from what I've seen, every time Jamaica, I feel like no playing in the national team, or not even say just scrap the national team. If you look at professional players across the world right now, we have Jamaicans in abundance, you know, like so many young professionals in academies, in under 23 teams, in senior teams. We have so many professionals, and the age group, the average age is 23, 20 to 28, 20, you know. So with vast experience, usually players playing in the national team, MLS, UK based players, Scandinavia, there was a time, and then that's it, you know. Now we have players playing all over the world: Belgium, Serbia, Malta, England, you name it, you know, all over the world, you know. So
True,
it helps
true.
a lot with that experience. So yeah, you can say the golden generation.
All right. What would you say is the missing ingredient in the formula to 2022 Qatar?
You can't say nothing is missing right now because we haven't really seen anything. You
Okay,
understand?
lovely.
Starting.
So the next 8 months, 8 to 12 months really will be crucial in two regards. One, the World Cup qualifier, and two, the Gold Cup. What can we expect going into this extremely difficult period?
Speaking from my personal views, I feel like we can win the Gold Cup. Obviously, qualify for the World Cup, but the first focus is winning the Gold Cup. Been to too many finals, semi-finals, quarter-finals. Feel like now is the time to let people say, listen, Jamaica is the real deal. Put some respect on winning, because even though we've been to two back-to-back finals, semi-finals, quarter-finals before that, I feel like we still don't get the praise or like the rating,
Respect. Yeah.
respect we should get in CONCACAF. People still look at us like, you know, like if you see the interviews sometimes, yeah, Jamaica is in there, but yeah, we still see this team and this team qualifying over them and stuff like that. You know, and I feel like that's very disrespectful, because we've paid our dues. We have the best. If you look at each team of Jamaica, every Jamaican in an MLS team, they are
Just
the
doing
best.
well.
They are the best
True,
players in that position. You know, so
true.
started playing MLS, there were so many Jamaicans across the league. You know, all of a sudden, there are only like a handful, 5, 6. Why? But yet still we are ranked 3. Why don't they look at us anymore? Because rumors are they're developing us to beat them.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, so but
true. Yeah, and yet they're sending their players to top leagues across the world as well, because I was going through the US roster for the upcoming games, and I think only 2 or 3 of them are MLS based. So
yeah,
that's quite interesting.
yeah.
My final question before I turn it over to the fans. For the fans on here, I'll give you just about 15 minutes or so, maybe 20 minutes to ask Damion your question, because what time is it now, Damion? Is it like 12 or 1?
But you're good, man. You're good.
Okay, all right. So I'll give you guys the opportunity to ask your question. But what would be your advice to youngsters in Jamaica and the world at large who look to you as their role model?
Repeat that.
What would be your advice to youngsters who look to you as their role model, both in Jamaica and the world? Because you've been across the world playing football. So what's your advice to them?
I mean, just never give up on your journey. Life comes at you sometimes, bumps in the road. Sometimes you have to climb a mountain in order to reach a goal, but never give up. What is for you will always be for you, and just have faith, believe there's a God, and let everything else take care of itself. The journey is very long. Even when you feel like you reach the destination, there's always another obstacle coming at you, but I always live by, God gives his hardest battles to his strongest soldiers, and you have to just adversity and move on. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so very much. We appreciate you taking the time out to do this interview, Damion. I'm looking forward to doing it again sometime in the future, and best of luck in your local endeavors in Egypt in the league. Your team is what now, eighth, or the team is what, eighth in the table? Hopefully you can finish as strong as possible. And yeah, we look forward to cheering for you from behind the screens.